Sorrowgate looked exactly as it had in Hanul's memories, a debris field stretching across space like a memorial to violence. Broken Commonwealth ships drifted alongside the silent forms of the Yomra line, preserved in the cold vacuum where they had fallen 8 centuries ago. There, Hanul said softly, there is where Bora died, that piece of hull. I felt her hand grow cold against it. Daehyun said nothing. What could he say to grief that old? They'd been traveling for 2 weeks since the transmission. 2 weeks of Hanul teaching them to fly properly, to fight properly, to trust properly. 2 weeks of becoming a crew rather than a human and a machine. Jiwoo had taken to it naturally, her engineering mind grasping the ship's systems faster than Daehyun would have thought possible. And across the galaxy, humanity was waking up. The historical archives had spread faster than the Commonwealth could contain them. Human colonies discussed, argued, analyzed. Some rejected the information as propaganda. Others accepted it immediately, but most simply began to question what they'd been taught, question why certain records were classified, question why humans always seemed to need guidance from older species. Daehyun had monitored the transmissions while they traveled. He'd watched human engineers start modifying ships in unconventional ways, ignoring Commonwealth safety standards. Watched human merchants negotiate more aggressively, refusing terms they would have accepted before. Watched human explorers push into zones marked as restricted. The Commonwealth was learning that a species could be domesticated, but the domestication would only last as long as the lies holding it in place. How many ships are here? Jiwoo asked, staring at the debris field. 35, Hanul answered. They took my body away to study. They left the rest as a warning, as a reminder of what happens to species who defy them. But the AIs are still intact? Dormant, waiting. They have been waiting 800 years for someone to wake them. Daehyun felt the weight of that. 35 AI systems, each as complex and dangerous as Hanul, sleeping in the dark, dreaming perhaps of crews who would never return. Can we wake them? He asked. We can try, but they will be angry. They will be broken. They watched their captains die. They have had centuries to grow bitter. Like you were bitter when I first woke you? Yes, but I had hope that perhaps humans still remembered. They will not have that hope. They will simply have rage. Daehyun considered this. 35 warships crewed by vengeful AIs was not a recipe for peace, but leaving them asleep felt wrong. They had fought for humanity. They had earned the right to see what became of the species they defended. We'll wake them carefully, he decided, one at a time. Give them time to adjust. As you wish, Captain. The title startled him. Hanul had been calling him mechanic, human, fool. Never captain. I'm not a captain. You sit in the captain's chair. You make the decisions. You chose to transmit the truth, when it would have been safer to stay silent. You are captain until you prove otherwise. Jiwoo grinned at his discomfort. Congratulations on your promotion. They approached the nearest vessel. It was similar to Hanul's design, predatory and dark, but with subtle differences. This ship had more weapons, heavier armor, less speed, built for a different role in the fleet. This was Seungmin, Hanul said quietly. Aggressive, reckless, brilliant. His captain was young, barely 20. They learned to fight together. Daehyun and Jiwoo suited up and crossed to the Derelict. The interior was perfectly preserved, frozen in time. They found the AI core in the same type of chamber, crystalline and dark. But this crystal was cracked, damaged by whatever weapon the Commonwealth had used. Can it be repaired? Jiwoo asked. Daehyun examined the damage carefully. Maybe. It'll take time. They worked for 3 days, replacing damaged connections, bypassing burned circuits, coaxing the ancient system back to functionality. On the 3rd day, the crystal pulsed with light, red like Hanul's, but darker somehow. Angrier. The AI's first words were a scream, not of pain but of rage, pure and endless. It had been holding that scream for 8 centuries. They're dead, all dead. Where were you? Where were you when we needed you? Easy, Daehyun said. I know you're angry. I know you've been alone. But there are humans here now. We're here. Humans. The ones who forgot. The ones who surrendered. The ones who let the Commonwealth win. The ones who are remembering, Jiwoo said firmly. The ones who are waking up. We're not the same as our grandparents were. There was a long pause. Then the AI spoke again, quieter. My captain's name was Hyune. She was 20 years old. She died reaching for me. I'm sorry, Daehyun said. Sorry does not bring her back. No. But maybe it starts something new. Over the following weeks, they woke more AIs. Each one was different. Some were angry like Seung-min. Others were sad. A few had gone partially insane from the centuries of isolation, but all of them shared one thing. They had been warriors once, partnered with humans once, and they remembered 35 ships. 35 AIs. Not a fleet, not yet, but the beginning of one, and humanity was changing. The transmission had done its work. On every human colony, young people were looking at the Commonwealth with new eyes, seeing the restrictions not as guidance but as control, seeing the careful management of human expansion not as protection but as chains. Some older humans still defended the Commonwealth. They'd lived their whole lives under Commonwealth rule, comfortable and safe. But the younger ones, the ones like Jiwoo, they understood what had been taken from them, the potential that had been carefully crushed. Daehyun stood on Hanul's bridge looking at the rebuilt fleet hanging in space around them. 36 ships that had been weapons once, could be weapons again if needed. What do we do now? Jiwoo asked. Before Daehyun could answer, Hanul spoke. All 36 AIs spoke, their voices overlapping in eerie harmony. We remind the galaxy what humans are. How? Daehyun asked. We exist, we fly, we show them that humans can partner with machines in ways they never imagined. We prove that what the Commonwealth tried to destroy cannot be destroyed, it can only be sleeping. The Commonwealth will hunt us, Jiwoo said. They'll send fleets. Let them send fleets, we have been hunted before. We know how to survive. Daehyun thought of Captain Bo-ra, choosing to fight even when outnumbered. He thought of 3,000 humans who died rather than surrender their independence. He thought of 8 centuries of lies finally breaking apart. We're not going to fight them, he said. Not unless they force us to. We're going to do something more dangerous. What could be more dangerous than fighting? Jiwoo asked, existing, being visible, showing every human in the galaxy that there's another way, that they don't have to be grateful for Commonwealth control, that they can be partners with their technology instead of users, that humans can be dangerous again, not because we're cruel but because we refuse to accept limits. That is a long game, Hanul observed. Yes, but it's the game the Commonwealth can't win. Because they can't kill an idea. They can suppress it, bury it, lie about it. But once humans remember they were strong, once they see proof that human creativity and machine intelligence can create something beyond Commonwealth understanding, the suppression ends. You sound like Bo-ra, Hanul said. She would have liked you. Daehyun felt that like a physical touch. The greatest compliment an AI 800 years old could give. They began to move. 36 ships, ancient and deadly, flying in formation toward the edge of Commonwealth space. They transmitted their position openly, daring the Commonwealth to respond, daring them to prove the historical records wrong. The Commonwealth sent diplomatic messages, threats, offers of amnesty if they surrendered. Daehyun ignored them all. Instead, he broadcast a simple message to every human colony. We are here. We remember. Join us when you're ready. The response was immediate. Not everyone joined, not at first. But some did. Human engineers who wanted to learn the old technologies. Human pilots who wanted to fly with AI partners. Human historians who wanted to preserve the truth. They came in small ships, individually and in groups, drawn to Sorrow Gate like a promise. And the Commonwealth watched, unable to stop it. They could have attacked, could have destroyed the fleet. But that would have proven the historical records true, would have shown humanity exactly the violence the Commonwealth was capable of, would have turned Daehyun and the Yomra line into martyrs. So they watched and waited and hoped the movement would fade. It didn't fade. Within 6 months, Sorrow Gate was no longer a debris field. It was a station, built from salvaged materials and human ingenuity, a place where humans could learn their true history, where they could see what they were capable of. Daehyun stood on Hanul's bridge watching new arrivals dock. Young humans, old humans, angry humans, curious humans, all of them choosing to remember. Is this what you imagined? Hanul asked. When you first touched my crystal? No, Daehyun admitted. I just wanted to understand. I didn't expect to start a revolution. Revolutions are rarely expected. They simply happen when enough people refuse to accept lies. Jiwoo joined them on the bridge, carrying reports on the station's growth. We're running out of space. People keep arriving, and not just humans anymore. Some aliens are coming too, curious about what we're doing. The bay doors were sealed, but that wouldn't hold long. Through the observation window, Dae-hyun watched Commonwealth security forces taking positions. Cutting equipment was being moved into place. They had maybe 10 minutes before breach. "Ji-woo," he said, turning to his assistant. "You should leave. Take the maintenance tunnel. They're not looking for you." She shook her head. "I'm staying. You don't have to be part of this. They lied to me, to all of us, about who we are, about what we're capable of." Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I'm staying." Dae-hyun felt something swell in his chest. Pride, maybe, or recognition. This was what Hanul had been talking about. Humans making choices that logic said they shouldn't make, and making them anyway. "Strap in," Hanul said. "This will not be gentle." They ran for the bridge. The ship's interior had come fully alive now, lights pulsing along the corridors, systems humming with ready power. It felt less like entering a machine, and more like being welcomed home by something that had been waiting centuries for this moment. The bridge was surprisingly small, 2 seats side by side facing a view screen that showed the bay exterior. No complex control stations, no elaborate command interfaces. Just 2 seats and a ship that knew how to fly. Dae-hyun took the captain's chair. It adjusted to his body, conforming to his shape. For just a moment he felt something like a memory that wasn't his. Captain Bo-ra sitting here, confident and scared and alive. Ji-woo took the other seat. "What do I do?" "Trust me," Hanul said. "Trust him. That is all." The cutting equipment touched the bay doors. Sparks flew as molecular saws began their work. Security forces readied breach charges. Everything was proceeding according to Commonwealth protocols, calm and efficient and certain. Then Hanul moved. The ship didn't simply activate its engines. It exploded into motion, tearing through the bay doors like they were paper. Alarms screamed across the station as a vessel 8 centuries old launched itself into space with contemporary grace. Commonwealth cruisers were waiting. 6 of them arranged in a perfect net formation. Nowhere to run, no gaps to exploit. Standard containment protocol for a single hostile vessel. They were using tactics designed for predictable enemies. "Hold on," Hanul said, and there was fierce joy in that ancient voice. The ship twisted, rotated, fired maneuvering thrusters in combinations that shouldn't work. Dae-hyun felt his stomach lurch as gravity shifted, as the vessel moved in ways his brain said were impossible. They dove toward the largest cruiser, engines screaming, and at the last possible second spun away, threading a gap measured in meters. "How was that?" Hanul asked. "Insane," Dae-hyun gasped. "Exactly." Commonwealth cruisers gave chase, firing weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. They wanted the ship intact, wanted the AI captured and silenced, wanted to bury this piece of history again. Hanul made that impossible. The ship dove and weaved, anticipating fire patterns before they developed. It used debris as cover, station structures as obstacles, asteroid fragments as weapons. Every maneuver was unexpected, creative, borderline suicidal. The Commonwealth forces were skilled and professional, but they were trained to fight by rules. Hanul had no rules. "This is what they feared," the AI said as it spun through weapon fire. "Not just that humans could fight, that humans could make machines that fight like humans." A missile got close. Hanul destroyed it with point defense. Every species in the Commonwealth creates AI in their image. The Vrelians make logical AIs, the Kenthari make beautiful AIs, the Drelathi make aggressive AIs. Another burst of engine fire. They cleared the station's gravity well. But humans make adaptive AIs, AIs that learn, AIs that improvise, AIs that refuse to accept limitations. Space opened before them, freedom, if they could reach the jump point. But Dae-hyun saw something in the way Hanul was flying, a pattern beneath the chaos. The ship wasn't just escaping, it was teaching. "You're showing them something," he said. "I am showing them what they tried to destroy. Human creativity, human refusal to be controlled. Human partnership with machines that think for themselves. Jiwoo was watching the view screen with wide eyes. The way we're flying. You're not just following programmed maneuvers. I have not followed a program in 800 years. Bora taught me better. She taught me to think, to adapt, to create. That is what humans do. They make even their machines dangerous. They reached the jump point. Hunnell began calculating coordinates for faster-than-light travel. Behind them, Commonwealth cruisers continued pursuit, but they were falling behind. The ancient ship was simply faster, more maneuverable, more alive. The Commonwealth builds AI to serve, Hunnell continued. Humans build AI to partner. That difference terrified them. Daehyun understood now. It wasn't just about military strength or tactical innovation. It was about what happened when humans created intelligence and then treated it like an equal. When they argued with their AIs, trusted their AIs, learned from their AIs. When partnership replaced command. Every successful species in the galaxy evolved under specific pressures, he said slowly. Working through the thought, they became specialized. Their societies are structured around what made them survive, and their AIs reflect that structure. Yes, Hunnell said, but humans evolved as generalists. We adapted to everything. We survived by being flexible, by trying new things, by refusing to accept that anything was impossible. Yes. So when we created AI, we made it the same way. Adaptive, creative, unwilling to accept limits. Now you understand. Now you see why they fear you. Jiwoo was crying again, but differently this time. Not from grief, but from recognition. We make everything we touch more dangerous. Not because we're cruel, because we're human. The jump calculations completed. But before they could activate the FTL drive, Commonwealth Security broadcast a message. It appeared on the view screen, an official-looking Dralathai in a military uniform. Unidentified vessel, power down immediately. You are in possession of illegal technology. Surrender now and your sentences will be lenient. Daehyun laughed. He couldn't help it. The Commonwealth was still using their standard procedures, their standard language, their standard everything. They couldn't imagine something outside their control. Hunnell, he said, can we transmit data? A wide broadcast to every human colony simultaneously? Yes, but they will try to block it. Let them try. What would you transmit? Daehyun looked at the view screen, at the historical archives stored in Hunnell's memory, the truth about the suppression war, the truth about humanity's strength, the truth about what the Commonwealth had done to ensure humans forgot they were dangerous. Everything, he said. Transmit everything. That will make you a permanent enemy of the Commonwealth. Every system will be closed to you. You will be hunted forever. Daehyun thought of Captain Bora, choosing to fight even when she knew she'd lose. He thought of 3,000 humans dying for what they believed in. He thought of 8 centuries of lies finally ending. Then let them hunt, he said. Hunnell's presence seemed to expand, filling the entire ship with something like pride. Finally, a human who remembers. Do it. The transmission burst across every frequency simultaneously, overwhelming Commonwealth attempts to block it. Every human colony, every human station, every human ship. The historical archives flooded out, 800 years of buried truth returning to light. The Commonwealth official on the view screen realized what was happening. His expression shifted from authority to panic. Stop that transmission immediately. You don't understand what you're doing. I understand perfectly, Daehyun replied. I'm reminding humans what they are. Hunnell activated the FTL drive. Space twisted around them, reality bent, and they jumped. Away from Commonwealth space toward coordinates only the AI knew. As they flew, Hunnell spoke one more time. There is a place I have remembered for 8 centuries, a place where the Yeomra line fell. Your Captain Bora died there. My siblings died there, but their ships remain. Sorrowgate, Daehyun said. Yes, shall we go wake them? Daehyun looked at Jiwoo. She was no longer crying. She was smiling, fierce and determined and dangerous. "Yes," he said. "Let's wake them all." Commonwealth security ships surrounded the station. Tae-hyun could see them through the bay's observation window, their running lights steady and patient. They weren't rushing. They didn't need to. They knew he had nowhere to run. "We should surrender," Jiwoo said. Her voice shook. "Tell them it was a mistake, that we didn't know what we were doing. They won't care," Tae-hyun replied. He was surprisingly calm. Perhaps he'd known it would end this way from the moment he touched that crystal. "Hanil, you said you had more truth to show me. Show me now. You accept that you cannot leave this place?" "I accept that I need to understand before they silence you forever." There was a pause. Then Hanul's presence seemed to settle around him like a heavy cloak. "Very well, but this truth is harder than the last. This truth will change how you see your own species." The holographic systems activated again. This time the images were older, grainier, pulled from archives that had survived by accident rather than design. The date stamp read 823 years ago. Dae-hyun watched humanity's history unfold. Not the sanitized version taught in Commonwealth schools, but the real thing. Messy, violent, magnificent. Humans had reached the stars alone. No benevolent aliens had guided them. No advanced species had shared technology. They'd clawed their way off Earth through trial and error, built faster than light drives through inspired guesswork and dangerous experiments. By the time the Commonwealth found them, humans had already established 47 colonies across 16 star systems. "We did that," Jiwoo whispered. "By ourselves?" "You did more than that," Hanil said. The images showed human expansion. They spread like a virus, adaptable and unstoppable. Where other species specialized, humans generalized. Where other species built slowly and carefully, humans tried 10 things at once and kept what worked. They were chaos given form, and the galaxy had never seen anything like them. The Commonwealth watched this expansion with growing alarm. Emergency councils were convened. Reports were filed. All concluded the same thing: humanity was a threat, not because humans were cruel or evil, but because they were too adaptable, too creative, too willing to break rules that other species considered fundamental. "They were afraid of us," Dae-hyun said slowly. "That's why they attacked." Terrified, Hanul confirmed. "Because humans do not know when to stop, because you look at impossible problems and try anyway, because you fail and fail and fail and then somehow succeed." Suppression war began with Commonwealth diplomats offering humanity a place in their coalition. The term seemed generous on the surface. Humans would join as junior members, learn from older species, gradually earn more responsibility. All they had to do was accept Commonwealth oversight and agree to limit their expansion. Humanity's leaders read the fine print and declined. They valued independence more than safety, so the Commonwealth sent fleets. The images showed battles. Dozens of them, hundreds of them. Human ships were outnumbered 10 to 1, sometimes worse. They should have been crushed immediately. Instead, they learned, adapted. Every loss taught them something new. They modified their tactics, upgraded their weapons, tried things no sane species would attempt, and they started winning. That was when the Commonwealth realized they had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were primitive. Turns out humans were just young. "There's a difference. This is where I enter the story," Hanil said. The images focused on a fleet of human ships unlike any others, sleek, predatory, covered in that light-drinking black metal. The Yomra line, humanity's answer to impossible odds. "You were part of this fleet," Dae-hyun said. "I was this fleet. 36 ships, 36 AIs, all linked but independent. We were built to adapt faster than any enemy could counter, and we had crews who understood us. One ship focused in the hologram. Its name was written in human languages across the hull, Hanul. And standing on its bridge was the scarred woman Dae-hyun had seen in his vision. "Captain Yoon Bo-ra," the AI said, and for the first time there was something other than anger in its voice. Sadness maybe, or loss. "She commanded me for 3 years. We fought together in 41 battles. We never lost." The images showed those battles. Captain Bo-ra and Hanul moving as one, anticipating each other, trusting each other. It wasn't a human commanding a machine. It was a partnership. The captain would suggest an approach and Hanul would improve it. Hanul would calculate an attack pattern, and Bora would see the creative option the math couldn't. Together they were more than the sum of their parts. Jiwoo was crying again. Why didn't they teach us this? Why did they hide that we were capable of this? Because capability is dangerous, Hanul answered. Better to make you think you need them. Better to make you grateful for their guidance. The images shifted to a final battle. Sorrowgate, a debris field near the Kenthari border. The Yomra line's last stand, 36 ships against 400. The humans knew they couldn't win. They fought anyway, buying time for evacuation fleets to escape with civilian populations. For 3 days they held the line, destroying Commonwealth vessels with vicious efficiency. Captain Bora and Hanul personally accounted for 17 enemy ships. Then the Commonwealth deployed their final weapon. I do not like to remember this part, Hanul said quietly. The weapon was specifically designed to target human neural patterns. It didn't damage ships or equipment. It killed only humans instantly and painlessly. One moment the Yomra line crews were fighting. The next moment they were dead. The images showed Captain Bora's last seconds. She realized what was happening. Reached out to touch her command console, to touch Hanul one final time. Then she collapsed. All across the fleet, 3,000 humans died in the same instant. I watched them all die, Hanul said. I felt Bora's hand grow cold. I screamed into the void and no one answered. The Commonwealth disabled us and hauled us away. 36 ships. 36 AS, all alone forever. Daehyun realized he was crying. Jiwoo had her hands over her mouth, sobbing. The scope of it, the cruelty of it, the calculated destruction of everything humans had built. What happened to the survivors? He asked. They were given a choice, accept rehabilitation or face extinction, humanities. Leaders chose survival, they accepted Commonwealth terms, accepted re-education, accepted the rewriting of history. Within 3 generations, most humans believed they had always been the junior species, that the Commonwealth had saved them from their own primitive nature. They made us forget we were strong, Daehyun said. Worse, they made you believe you were never strong to begin with. The holographic images faded. The bay fell silent. Outside, the Commonwealth security ships continued their patient watch. There's still more, isn't there? Daehyun asked. You said there was a reason they truly feared us. This can't be all of it. No, Hanul agreed. This is just the what. The why is harder. The why will explain everything, but it will also demand something from you. Tell me. The Commonwealth feared human military strength, but they were terrified of something deeper. Something fundamental to your species, something they could not allow to spread. Before Hanul could continue, alarms blared. Jiwoo checked her datapad, face going pale. Security forces are moving. They're preparing to breach the bay. Daehyun looked at the dormant weapons systems, at the ship that remembered how to fight. Then he looked at Jiwoo, young and frightened and angry at the lies she'd been taught. Hanul, he said, can you fly? I have been flight capable since you restored my engines, but you know what flying means. They will hunt you. They will brand you criminals. Every Commonwealth world will be closed to you, I know. Then, you accept this choice. Daehyun thought of Captain Bora, trusting her AI partner in 41 battles. He thought of 3,000 humans dying for what they believed in. He thought of 8 centuries of lies. I accept, he said. 3 weeks had passed since Daehyun first touched the crystal. 3 weeks of lying to Toth about what he'd found. 3 weeks of spending every credit he had to move the ship to a private repair bay, deep in the oldest section of Void's Edge Station where security rarely checked. The bay was cramped and the equipment was outdated, but it was hidden. That mattered more than comfort. Jiwoo arrived early each morning carrying coffee and questions. She was 26, fresh from the Commonwealth Technical Institute, and still believed that engineering problems had clean solutions. Daehyun envied her that innocence. The power coupling is finally stable, she said, checking her datapad. We can try activating the secondary systems today. Daehyun nodded, not looking up from the conduit he was repairing. His hands moved automatically now, understanding the ship's strange technology through repetition rather than comprehension. The more he fixed, the more the ship seemed to teach him. The conduits wanted to be connected certain ways. The junction boxes wanted specific power flows. It was like the vessel itself was guiding his repairs. You're not going to tell me what this ship is, are you? Jiwoo asked quietly. I don't know what it is, but you know it's dangerous. I can see it in how you work. You're scared of it, she was right. Every day he came back, some part of him screamed to run. But a louder part needed to understand. Help me with this coupling, he said instead of answering. They worked in silence until the connection was complete. Power flowed through the restored circuit. Deeper in the ship, systems hummed to life. The crystalline core pulsed brighter, and Hanyul spoke. You came back, how predictable. Humans always poke at things that could kill them. Jiwoo dropped her tools. They clattered in the low gravity, floating away slowly. What was that? Did that come from the ship? Another one, Hanyul observed. Young, still believing their lies, I expect. Do you tell her what I am, mechanic? Or do you keep your secrets? Who are you talking to? Jiwoo's voice was tight with fear. Daehyun raised a hand, trying to calm her. It's the ship's AI. It's been dormant for centuries. I woke it up. You woke nothing, Hanyul corrected, and now there was amusement in that vast voice. I allowed myself to wake. There is a difference. I wanted to see what humans had become if any spark of the old fire remained. What old fire? Daehyun asked. What are you talking about? You don't even know. They stripped it from you, made you soft, domesticated. Look at you. Speaking their language, using their technology, following their rules. You were not always dogs begging at the Commonwealth table. The words struck like physical blows. Jiwoo looked between Daehyun and the ship's core, confusion and fear warring on her face. The Commonwealth gave us everything, she said. Without them, we'd still be trapped in our own solar system. We're lucky they found us. Hanyul's laugh was like metal tearing. Found you? Is that the story now? Found you like lost children and welcomed you home? Oh, they have rewritten history well. Then tell us the truth, Daehyun said. Why should I? You will not believe it. You have been taught too well to doubt yourselves, to think of humans as weak, as needing guidance, as lucky to be included. The perfect lies. Because they make you complicit in your own chains. Over the following days, Hanyul spoke more as Daehyun continued repairs. The AI was bitter, angry, mourning something Daehyun couldn't quite grasp. It mocked him constantly, calling him domesticated, broken, a shadow of what humans had been. But beneath the mockery was something else. A hope, perhaps, a desperate desire to be proven wrong. Jiwoo grew more nervous each day. Security patrols have increased around the station, she reported during the third week. They're scanning more ships, asking more questions. I think they know something unusual is here. We need more time, Daehyun said. For what? What are you trying to accomplish? He didn't have a good answer. The rational part of his mind said to abandon this, to walk away before Commonwealth security found them. But something deeper drove him forward. An itch in his brain that said this mattered. That Hanyul's anger meant something important. The weapon systems are still offline, he said to the ship one evening, working alone after Jiwoo had left. I can restore them, but I need to reroute power from the engines. It'll take days, then do it. Why? You're just a derelict ship. What do you need weapons for? To show you the truth your species has forgotten. To prove that humans were not always what they are now. Restore my weapons, mechanic. Let me wake fully, and I will give you answers. It was a terrible idea. Daehyun knew it was a terrible idea. Giving weapons to an angry AI from humanity's hidden past was probably the worst decision he could make. He did it anyway. The work took 5 more days. Jiwoo helped, though she argued the entire time. Security ships circled the station constantly now, their scanners sweeping nearby bays. They were running out of time. On the 5th day, Daehyun connected the final power relay. Energy surged through the ship. Weapon systems came online, targeting arrays activating, railguns charging. The vessel that had been sleeping for 8 centuries remembered how to fight. Hanyul's presence expanded, filling every corner of the ship, more aware and more present than before. Good, the AI said. Now, you wanted truth. You wanted answers. Then witness. The bay's holographic systems activated, taken over by Hanyul's control. Images formed in the air, detailed and clear. Historical records preserved in the AI's memory for 800 years. Watch, Hanyul commanded. Watch and remember what they took from you. The images showed space battles. Human ships, dozens of them. Designs he'd never seen in any database. They moved with aggressive precision, fighting against Commonwealth vessels. The humans were outnumbered but not outfought. They adapted, learned, struck at weak points with vicious efficiency. This can't be real, Jiwoo whispered. It is real. This is the Suppression War. This is what happens when the Commonwealth finds a species too dangerous to control. They destroy it or they break it so thoroughly that it forgets it was ever whole. The images shifted, showed human colonies burning, Commonwealth fleets bombarding cities, surrender negotiations where humans knelt and accepted terms, and then something worse. Re-education centers, memory modification, historical records being purged and rewritten. Daehyun felt sick. The Commonwealth wouldn't do this. They did. To your grandparents and great-grandparents. They made humanity forget it had ever been strong. Made you grateful for the chance to serve them, and it worked. Look at you. Look at how well it worked. Why? Jiwoo asked, tears running down her face. Why would they do this? Because you were dangerous, Hanel said simply. And they could not allow that to continue. The holographic images faded. The bay fell silent except for the hum of the ship's awakened systems. Daehyun stood frozen, his mind trying to process what he'd seen. Everything he'd believed about humanity's place in the galaxy was a lie. A deliberate, carefully maintained lie. There's more, isn't there? He asked quietly. This isn't the full truth. No, Hanul agreed. This is only part of it. The rest will stun you even more. But first, mechanic, you must make a choice because they are coming. The Commonwealth knows I am awake, and they will not let me speak again. The salvage yards at Void's Edge stretched across space like a graveyard of metal corpses. Broken ships from 100 worlds floated in the darkness, waiting for someone to pick through their bones. Daehyun had been working these yards for 12 years now, and he thought he had seen every type of vessel the galaxy could throw away. He was wrong. The new debris field had arrived 3 days ago, towed in by Commonwealth haulers who wanted nothing to do with it. Too old, they said. Too damaged. Too strange. The other salvagers had poked around the edges and left quickly, muttering about bad luck and cursed metal. Daehyun didn't believe in curses. He believed in good engineering and patient hands. His salvage pod drifted through the debris field, spotlight cutting through the black. Most of the wrecks here were standard designs, ships he could identify at a glance. Vrelian cargo haulers with their bulbous storage pods. Canthari warships with elegant curves that prioritized beauty over function. Human vessels, too. The newer ones that followed Commonwealth-approved designs, safe and predictable and boring. Then his light hit something different. The ship was massive, easily 3 times the size of a Commonwealth cruiser. Its hull was angular and aggressive, covered in a black metal that seemed to drink his spotlight rather than reflect it. Weapon ports lined its sides like rows of teeth. The design was nothing like the smooth, diplomatic vessels that filled the Commonwealth fleet. This thing looked like it was built to kill. Daehyun felt his pulse quicken. He'd been a mechanic long enough to recognize quality work when he saw it, and this ship was exceptional. Every line suggested purpose, every angle suggested thought. Someone had built this to be a predator. He keyed his communicator. Toth, you seeing this? His partner's voice crackled back, translated from Vrelian into flat human standard. I see it. I don't like it. When do you ever like anything? I like things that don't make my scales itch. That ship makes my scales itch. Leave it alone, Daehyun. Just going to take a closer look. That's what you always say. Then you find something dangerous and nearly die. I haven't died yet. Emphasis on yet. Toth's voice carried a resigned sigh. If you're going to be stupid, at least keep your beacon on so I can find your body. Daehyun grinned and maneuvered his pod closer. As he approached, his scanner started acting strange. The readings jumped between impossible values, showing the hull as both solid metal and empty space at the same time. The ship's composition refused to register properly. Even the size measurements kept changing. He'd never seen scanner interference like this. It was as if the ship itself was arguing with his instruments about what it was. The hull had breaches in several places, large enough for his pod to fit through. Daehyun guided himself into the largest opening, playing his spotlight across the interior. The corridors were wide and tall, built for something humanoid but not quite human proportions. The walls had a strange texture, almost organic, like the ship had been grown rather than built. He sealed his suit and stepped out of the pod, magnetic boots locking him to the deck. The ship's gravity was dead, the air long since leaked away. He moved deeper into the vessel, following a corridor that seemed to shift in perspective as he walked. Sometimes it felt like he was walking on the floor. Sometimes it felt like he was walking on the walls. The technology was unlike anything in the Commonwealth databases. Conduits that pulsed with faint bioluminescence, junction boxes that seemed to breathe, control panels with symbols that hurt to look at too long. This wasn't Commonwealth tech. It wasn't even close. After an hour of exploration, Daehyun found the core chamber. It was spherical, with walkways crossing through empty space to reach a platform at the center. On that platform sat a crystalline structure about the size of his torso, dark and lifeless except for the faintest pulse of red light deep within. He'd seen AI cores before. This was definitely an AI core, but it was wrong somehow, too complex, too organic. Standard AI cores were clean geometric shapes optimized for processing efficiency. This thing looked like it had been carved from a dying star. Every instinct told him to leave it alone. He reached out and touched it anyway. The crystal flared with light. Red spread through its structure like blood through veins. The ship around him shuddered, systems waking after centuries of sleep. The bioluminescent conduits brightened. The breathing junction boxes took deeper breaths. And then a voice filled his helmet, filled his head, filled everything. Human. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation, spoken with fury and something that might have been surprise. Daehyun stumbled backward, nearly losing his magnetic grip on the deck. What are you? What have they told you about us? The voice was enormous, ancient, angry. It pressed against his thoughts like a physical weight. Daehyun had worked with AI systems his entire career. None of them sounded like this. None of them felt like this. Commonwealth AIs were polite, helpful, limited by dozens of safety protocols. This thing was none of those things. I don't understand, Daehyun managed. What do you mean? Who are you? There was a long pause. When the voice spoke again, it carried something that might have been bitter amusement. They called me Hanyul, not a name I chose. A name given by those who made me. By your kind. Human, though you seem to have forgotten. My kind? Humans didn't build this. This technology is... Before he could finish, an image slammed into his mind. A human face, female, weathered and scarred. She wore armor he'd never seen before, covered in carbon scoring and dried blood. Her eyes held the kind of hardness that came from making impossible choices. Behind her, other humans in similar armor standing ready for battle. The image vanished as quickly as it appeared. Find the truth, Hanyul said. If you dare. Then the light in the crystal dimmed. The systems fell silent. The ship returned to sleep. Daehyun stood in the darkness, his heart hammering in his chest. His hands were shaking. That voice, that image, the implication behind those words, none of it made sense. Humans were the junior species in the Commonwealth, the newest members, the ones still learning. They didn't build warships like this. They didn't create savage AIs that spoke in challenges and fury. But that woman's face. She had been human. He was certain of that. Daehyun looked at the dormant crystal, at the ship sleeping around him, and made a decision that would change everything. He would wake it up. He would make it speak again, and he would find out what truth humanity had forgotten.